Hello and welcome to Beyond the Slipstream, the companion podcast to the Team Bus. I'm Matt. I'm here with my brother Justin, and we're talking cycling and elsewhere, the world and elsewhere. Let's start with this video that you just had me watch.
Yeah, isn't that thing crazy? So, all it is Matthew Vanderpool was out training, got a mechanical. He's also just announced that he's coming back on the 15th to cyclocross. So he's going to be starting his cyclocross, or maybe it was the 13th. 13th or 15th, I can't remember which day. But anyway, he's out on a training ride, and he gets a mechanical, and the save that this guy makes on himself is unreal. I mean, it literally looks like the bike's about to crumple underneath of him, and somehow he's able to stay upright. And I just the athleticism of this guy, it just blows my mind. We had a whole week of talking about him, but it's just funny that this came up the next week. But just his athleticism is just out of control.
Well, and bike handling skills,
Yes,
for sure.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, pulling out that puts me in mind of that Jakob Fuglsang save in the LBL that we looked at last week
Yeah.
as well. Totally insane, like 99 times out of 100 race over.
So
Brutal.
it is a pretty thin news week, to be completely honest with you. So there was a couple of things while I was going through all the news that kind of popped off the page at me because I thought they were just kind of interesting. So, one of them, okay, is that Jonas Vingegaard is handpicking Vic Campenarts as his 2026 right-hand man. All right, which I think is a smart move. I think that's been a great addition to that team, not just from a racing standpoint, but from a quality of life standpoint. I think that guy's a great locker room team bus guy. I think that he's a great teammate. He brings a great energy to that team. So, him picking Vic does not surprise me, especially considering that he was there during the Tour de France this year. And, what a good time they had, during that race. But the very interesting thing, in my opinion, that came out of the Visma Lease camp is Grisha Nierman, who is, the director sportif over at Visma Lease Bike, had a couple of quotes this week that I thought were kind of interesting. So the first quote is, "Tade is our biggest rival. We haven't managed to beat him in the last 2 years, but we'll do everything we can do to turn that situation around. It won't be easy, that's for sure." He also said the Tour de France is the most important race and therefore the biggest goal. It's no secret. He said that when he was directly asked about whether the Giro Tour double is a possibility for Vingegaard. So I find it very interesting that if that is the case, that means that they don't prioritize him. It seems like they're not even prioritizing his goals. Like the tour is more important to them than helping him achieve his personal goals, which I think is quite sad in my opinion. Because I think if there was a year to do it, this Giro Tour double is very attainable. And it's funny that you have, they are the team that is the, defending champion of the Giro. So, and I'd have to figure if your biggest rider's like, I want to ride the Giro, you're like, okay, I guess you're going to ride the Giro.
Well, I'm not seeing his race program on PCS right now. Do we know that he?
No, it's up in the air. I know that that's one of his personal goals, but it's not necessarily one of his set racing goals for this year.
How do you know that that's one of his personal goals? Has he said that?
I believe that he has said it. I feel like we've mentioned it, on here in the news roundup of late, but it's definitely been, it's one that's not in his Palmares, and he's now got the other two.
Is it your belief that the team's kind of like, we don't mind you winning all 3 Grand Tours, that's great, but like not this year. This year we're going to the Tour de France. Like,
I think that because it's the marquee event, and they have been very, they've either won or been second for the last 5 years, that it's very important to them. And I'm assuming that it's very important to the sponsors.
Do you think
And
Jonas Vingegaard would rather have three Tour de France wins or to complete the hat trick of all three Grand Tour wins? If he had to pick one. So they said you can win either the Giro or the Tour this year. Pick one.
I think he would go to the tour. I think any of them would go to the tour. I do. But I don't see why if Tade can do the Giro Tour double, why can't Jonas? He's, you know what I mean. While he is not Pogacar, he is about as damn close as anybody in the Pro Peloton gets. His wife has also been critical of the team. One of the things that kind of came out during the tour was or maybe it was right before the tour, but there was an interview with his wife, and she kind of expounded the hardships of being a wife of a pro cyclist, especially at that level, that it requires a lot of time away. And I think that we can both agree that one of the things that gives Tade the ability to have the laser focus that he does is that he's not a family man yet.
Hmm. A point that we were discussing in reference to Matthew Van Der Poel last week. Well, Tadej Pogacar has on his uh, uh, race program this year, at least according to PCS, exactly three races. Would you like to guess what those three races are?
Milano San Remo,
Hmm.
Paris Roubaix,
Hmm.
and the Tour de France.
Correct. So, do we know if either of these guys are going to the Giro?
I don't know. Again, it's not official. I I personally think that if Tade clearly says I'm not going to the Giro and they don't send Jonas, they're stupid in my opinion.
Agreed.
Because talk about a way to just get that one under your belt.
Hmm.
And I
And
also think that
assuming he wins the Giro, well, then he's clearly on form and in as good a shape as any to be going after the Tour de France in a couple of
I
weeks. So,
agree. I agree. I know, like I said, considering the way that they race now, I don't think it's as big of a hardship
mhm.
as it could be. Again, I'm also the guy that says that it's ridiculous that Tadej Pogacar didn't try to get all three in 1 year, 2 years ago. I think that was an absolute possibility. I think if there was a year for them to have done it, that would have been the year to do it.
Yeah.
Because you're telling me that Tade couldn't have beat Primoz Roglic even in a third Grand Tour. Like get out of here. Like I don't believe it.
No, I agree.
Don't believe it at all. All right. Um, Shout out Lucinda Brand. She has extended her podium, her 52nd consecutive podium in cyclocross when she claimed a win this week. Her ninth victory of the cyclocross season, which is completely ridiculous. So
I
she is the Lorena Wiebes of cyclocross.
I always said that Cal Ripken was really the Lucinda Brand of pro baseball, but
That's funny. Um, and the World Cup race this week for cyclocross was in, and I'm probably gonna Terralba. All right,
works for me.
Sardinia, bro.
Peralba.
This place is gorgeous.
I don't doubt it.
If you get a minute, just try to go find some highlights of this race from over the weekend. There are definitely a couple of highlight packages out there. It is one of the most beautiful, completely different looking cyclocross races that I've ever seen. You're so used to cyclocross being like woods and you know, really tight, and they've got these great like open ocean views in this cyclocross race. It is so cool. So I highly recommend if you can catch any of the men's or women's cyclocross races from this weekend. The men's race was really, really good too.
Was that stuff? Were you watching that stuff on Max or on YouTube or?
YouTube. The men's race was really good too. It had a crazy finish, but the the coverage. You probably, if you can find it on Tiz or somewhere,
Hmm.
you'd probably be better served, because the package, at least that I won, did not do a good job of showing the guy that won, and he's got a really long name that I would butcher. Uh, didn't show his like winning move, but like it was a really good win on the men's side too. Really, two really good races. Um, One of the transfer news for this week that's I would be shocked if this happens, but apparently Ineos is trying to get Oscar only. All right, who still has 2 years left on his contract. All right, he's
Is it
contracted with
Picnic?
Picnic,
Yeah.
yeah, Picnic through 2027. But apparently, Ineos is trying to pickpocket Picnic Postanel of
How
one
does
of
that
their.
work? I mean, do they have to just pay the
I
other
think they
team
buy
like
they
to
buy
get
him
him
out
out
of
of
his
it?
contract.
Yeah.
It's not unheard of. It
I'm sure
really
he'd be
isn't.
happy there at Ineos. That team is getting like re-anglicized right now.
It's also getting like completely reinvigorated. There's a lot going on with that team right now.
Yeah.
Um, and then I did come across a and it's just so funny that we're talking about this Omloop race this week. Tom Bonin came up in the news this week, which was, I thought, was quite a little interesting. So, um, he was asked about, now that Quick Step is going to be a more classics focused organization again. He was essentially asked if they had if they had reached out to him to be, come back in like a DS role or something like that, and he said, "Quote: Could I have contributed to the team? You have to ask them." um, he didn't discard a return to cycling, but he said the team has acquired equipment with which they can challenge the top riders in the classics. So if there had ever been a time when I wanted to do something at Soudal Quickstep, it would have been now. So wouldn't that have been interesting if they had brought him back in a um, in a DS capacity now that they're going back to a more classics focused, type of run. So,
Hmm.
but I just found it interesting that this week of all weeks he popped up in the lexicon.
It's so interesting the way the churn of the sport. It's like you race and then like you work. You can just there's so many avenues where you can just like stay within the sport and just like keep plugging away as part of the machine.
Mm-hmm. Um, that's it really for news, man. There was not a lot going on this week.
Well, I do have one cycling related item, so why don't I go into that and then uh
Sure.
we'll get non-cycling. That is I happened to notice uh in the Dwars Door of Vlaanderen 2025 coverage that we watched as part of our uh team bus show this week. The guy on the side of the road that I'm sure you've seen 100 times holding a sign. It's a white sign. It's got black letters on it, four letters on top, four letters on the bottom. Juju Adri. Um, I saw that go by and I thought to myself, I'm sitting here on my computer. Let me Google what the heck is going on with that. And there's not a whole lot of information out there, but I did find a Reddit thread that seemed to um, have the best answer. Um, and it seems to be a reference to the mockumentary film Tour de Pharmacy, which we will be discussing on an upcoming show. Um, I'm on record as not being a big fan of that movie. I find it to be reductive drivel that seems to it's just seems to reduce the entire sport down to one negative aspect. We've talked about this
Mm-hmm.
before. Shit like this kind of drives me crazy. Um, but there's two characters in the film named Juju and Adri.
Yes,
So
they're two of the. Again, we'll talk about it later, but essentially they posit that this former Tour de France year, only 5 riders were able to qualify for the race after the drug testing went on. Only 5 riders were able to make it into the tour.
Right.
Two of them
Um,
being Juju, who was Orlando Bloom's character, and Adri, which was
Cena,
no, it wasn't Cena. It's
Sandberg.
no. Sandberg played Marty, the like American slash Nigerian. No, it's his name is
It
damn
doesn't
Freddie
matter.
Highmore. Freddie Highmore.
Okay. We'll get
Anyway,
into it when we talk about the thing. Um, Juju is not a nickname for anyone in the current Peloton. Alaphilippe is Lulu, not Juju. And Adri Vanderpool, as we discussed last week, retired decades ago. That's Matthew Vanderpool's father's name is Adri. So one would have to believe that uh, it's in reference to Tour de Pharmacy, which means that this guy is trying to make some sort of statement about doping. I don't know. Like,
I
what
have
is
no
the
idea. The other thing is those two characters are not like it would be if it was Marty and Adri, it'd be a little bit different because there's like this love story that happens in the flick. So I don't know. It's the reference. It's clearly it's referencing that. Why it's referencing it? I don't know.
well, I would love for somebody to hunt this guy down because it's clear to me that it's one guy that does this,
Hmm.
but I've seen that sign in 20 different races. Like that dude is out there on the roads of Belgium and elsewhere with that sign. He's clearly got an agenda, and I think it would be a fascinating watch to see a 15-minute interview with that guy.
It's clearly the same sign. It's on sticks. You can see it's like
Hmm.
it is, and it looks pretty permanent. It's got like fasteners all through it.
It looks to me like it's like a wood frame,
Yeah.
and he's got you know either a heavy piece of poster board or cardboard or foam core or even a thin piece of wood on either side of it,
Yeah.
painted it white because you can see there's like screws drilled around the outer
Hmm.
edges. So yeah, pretty heavy duty
Do you
sign.
think it says the same thing on both sides?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just really interesting. I want to know there's a story there, and I want to know that story. And some cycling writer that is Belgium based, please figure it out because if I was over there, I'd freaking figure it out.
Yeah, because it's got to be an somewhat interesting story.
Well, that second photo I put there in the notes is clearly from the Vuelta a España, and like he's obviously in Spain. He goes from Belgium to Spain and stuff to watch bike racing.
And
He's
he's got the
definitely this.
sign.
It's definitely the same guy. You can just like tell from the body language.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
And in fact, you can tell it's the same sign too. Even if you look at how the
Yes,
letters are cut out and made, it's the exact same
it's
sign. So
definitely the same sign. There's no doubt about it.
very interesting.
Don't miss the Team Bus, our weekly podcast about pro cycling, and oh, did I mention pro cycling? We're kind of obsessed. Dropping into your usual podcast feeds every Wednesday.
All right, you want to pop into some non-cycling stuff?
Sure. I was just going to shout out Tulsa King on Paramount Plus. It's the Stallone show.
Mhm.
I really I just enjoy it. It feels like The Sopranos, meets I don't even know. It's just interesting. If you like mafia shows, it's it's an interesting take on an old trope. Stallone plays essentially fresh out of 25 years in prison mafioso who gets kind of sent to Tulsa, where kind of a wasteland by somebody that didn't respect him, when he gets out, and
Like in the organization?
yeah, in his mafia
Yeah, I've
organization.
heard good things about that show.
It's fun. It's a fun show to watch. There's a lot of there's a lot of good people in it. It's not commitment heavy. It's 8 or 9 episodes a season. It's not and there's 3 seasons of it out now. But good character actors, people you'll recognize. Martin Starr's in it. Uh, Dana Delaney is in it. A couple other people. So, but fun show. Throwing it out there. What do you got that's non-cycling?
Well, I did want to quickly have an on-air production meeting
Sure.
because it seems like I'm always pushing movies as I'm about to, and you're always pushing TV shows. We should do a top five show this year at the end of the year, maybe in January and early January 2025. I'll do my top five movies. You do your top five shows.
Okay, we can do that.
Um, I want to talk movies. So first, I'll mention I talked a little bit about that Leni Riefenstahl picture,
Hmm.
the Riefenstahl documentary. Um, you know, the Third Reich will never not be fascinating to me, and there's a really, really good offering out there right now. A movie called Nuremberg. You heard about this one?
Yeah, it's the Russell Crowe, right?
Russell Crowe, Rami Malek. It's about the Nuremberg trial. So it takes place on in the aftermath of world, the immediate aftermath of World War
It's
II.
like super visceral, right? Like it's
Yeah,
very
like when the
unapologetic.
unapologetic and unflinching. When they get to the actual courtroom scenes, it concerns sort of the lead up to the trials, the choosing of the main players and how they prepare for the trials. Michael Shannon plays the lead
Oh
prosecutor for the
God, I love
U.S.
Michael Shannon. Just so good.
Fantastic, so good in this movie. Rami Malek is the uh, psychoanalyst called in to try to analyze the prisoners, the German high command prisoners that are still left. Of course, Hitler famously killed himself.
Or did
Goebbels
he?
Goebbels killed himself. Lots of them. Goering, not Goering. What's his name? The SS guy, Himmler. None of them were around to face trial, but of the big dogs, Hermann Goering was the biggest of the big dogs. He was number two in command behind Hitler, and he was portrayed in the film by Russell Crowe. Of course, an absolutely fantastic performance, um, and a fascinating story. When they get to the courtroom bits, finally they show the films that were shown at the actual
Oh, that's
trials,
interesting.
and it's just the worst of the worst Nazi atrocities. It's still, it will never not be stunning. The just the depths of human hatred that these people reach. It's mind boggling. Um,
Do you think it wins an Oscar?
that I don't know. It might be in the conversation in certain categories, but as far as like best
Are those
picture,
those nominations haven't come out yet, right?
no, no, no.
Probably do
They won't.
very soon.
No, they won't be out for a while. Um, but still, a fascinating movie. The horrifying detail that I picked up on this time, amongst all the many atrocities that you hear about, what happens is they would they would force prisoners in the middle of winter to stand outside of the barracks naked for 2 days straight. No food, naked to the elements, standing upright at gunpoint for 2 days straight. It's about as miserable as you could possibly be. Oh, except then they would come out there and they would throw cold water on them. I mean, like what?
Like
Why not just shoot them?
what
Like
possesses somebody to do,
it's
like
just mind-boggling. So, anyways, great movie though. I also caught up with Predator Badlands, and I'm
I've
here to
heard good
say
things about this movie.
I have nothing but good things to say about this entire franchise. It just always delivers, and like I like what they've done here in recent years, where they've sort of taken this like premise of the Predator, a guy, an alien from a planet that flies around the universe and lands on other planets to do battle with like the apex predators of other worlds, right? Great premise. Like you can just do anything with this. The one that came out before this was called Prey.
Prey,
Did you
yeah.
see that one? And it was like set in like the Native American community, like pre-Columbian or whatever. Um, and the point of view was from this young female Native American.
That has
Um,
zero technology
right,
versus
yeah,
the far superiorly technologically advanced Predator.
Yeah. So in this case, like the Predator was definitely the bad guy, sort of. Um, Fast forward Predator Badlands that just came out. Now suddenly you've got like a family story involving the predator, and in this case the predator is the younger brother predator, and it's like the dad and the two brothers right from predator world, and there's a whole story, and the younger brother ends up going off to some other thing to go hunt for something, and I won't spoil anything about it, but it's just so interesting how malleable this premise can be, and how much the creators of these films have been able to wring out of this like basic kind of premise. It's just so ripe for exploitation in a number of different directions. And I really like how this one's done. It was a great performance from, I think it's is it Elle Fanning in this one? One of the Fanning sisters. I think it's Elle Fanning. Um, um, she plays a like a cyborg or something in this movie. It's just a fun ride all the way start to finish. I
Popcorn
loved
movie.
it. Yeah, popcorn movie in the best way. So a big recommendation for Predator Badlands. Um, do you have another one you want to get into, and I can finish it up with my last one?
Sure. No. So I wanted to shout out um, a couple of my friends that I game with. Top Dog Iverson and Trini. These are three guys that I met about a year and a half ago, and I've become very good friends with online. They're actually all from New York, New Jersey area. But I don't know, a week or two ago, we were online playing games together, and somebody had like made mention about this, about attempting to do one of the hardest challenges in Grand Theft Auto Online, which is called the Criminal Mastermind. Which essentially the what you do is you have four people. It's a four-person group. The four of you have to complete 26 different missions, essentially, which is five heists. So the setups and then the heists in order. So in the original order that they came out. So you have to do them all in order. You have to do them all together. Nobody can miss one. All right. And you have to do them on hard, and you can't die. It's one of the hardest challenges in all of GTA, and it's like only 1% of the people that have ever played the game have ever done it, because the challenge in and of itself is hard. Finding three other people to do it with you and like commit to doing it is also really, really hard. So, this is something that I've wanted to do for a really long time, but I've never had, three people that were willing to commit to it. And then all of a sudden that night, everybody was like, yeah, I'll commit. I was like, I'm not doing it unless y'all are like fully locked in. Like,
How long did it take to do from start to finish?
it's like, I don't know how many hours. I wish that I, like, in hindsight, I didn't record enough of it. I really wish just been recording it the whole way through. I really only started recording like about halfway through. Um, but I mean, it was multiple nights. So I'd say that I think the first night we got to about 25%, and then we did another day where we didn't accomplish anything. Like we had this night where this one just kept getting, where we had to do this thing that was like stealthy. We just kept having to do it over and over again. Again, you can fail, you can't die. We just kept failing. Um, so that night we didn't literally accomplish anything, and then we got there was like another night where we completed another set of them, and then we did one on Friday night, and then we finished one Friday night, and then yesterday we locked in the evening and went for the last one like all in a row, and it was it's so funny because it's like you're not really doing anything, you're not accomplishing anything, but it's the camaraderie of accomplishing the thing with somebody. Like I don't think that there's a feeling in the world that is like as good as, and you get this throughout sports where, and it's why my parallel to cycling will be, you know it takes a team to be able to really, you know, get over the peak on some of these challenges. And the same with cycling, like you can't win a grand tour without a great team around you. And you know, it's just very interesting the you know how good it felt to complete that with these guys that, you know, I've become such good friends with. And so it was a really interesting um, journey, so to speak.
It sounds pretty awesome.
It was a lot
I
of
would
fun.
agree that there's a lot of satisfaction and delight to be had by the accomplishment of goals amongst a team.
Yeah. And there was a lot of fun, you know, there's a lot of fun, crazy things that happened. I have about an 8 minute video that I cut of the stuff that I did, that I'll post here, you know, soon. But you know, there was just a lot of good, just a lot of really good times in there, a lot of just that camaraderie and a lot of laughs and, you know, crazy things that happened. And there was this one setup mission where we had to drive a tanker truck like to a location. Very basic, but we were on a timer and we literally got it as the clock expired.
Wow.
Like, I was able to clip that. But I mean, it's literally, you can see it go from you know, 0 1 to 0 0, and it's like, did we get it? Did we get it? And then it's like, you know, we're all like, ah, you know, it's just, you know, it just really was a fun time. And so, man, I want to shout those guys out because, you know, I couldn't have done it without them, and it was fun to go on that journey with those guys.
Do any of them listen to this podcast?
No, but I will tell them to listen to this one specifically because of the fact that I am shouting them out.
How many hours a week do you think you spend gaming? Come clean right now on national
Um,
television.
I don't know. I mean, more on my days off. I don't know, maybe 9 hours a week, if that. So I mean, like like I'll typically get on in the evenings when I get home just as something to decompress, unless I have something else to do. So it just depends. But like during this particular thing, this was my, you know, one of my things. So I would get on specifically to do this. So most of the time though, when I get on, I'm like clip farming. I'm doing things to try to get my to get stuff to edit videos more or less. But this was something that was very goal oriented.
Gotcha.
So what do you got? What do you got last?
Um, let me write myself a quick note here about something. For my final item, I want to talk about a director that I have spoken about recently a couple of weeks ago, and that is Richard Linklater. He is the guy that directed the film Nouvelle Vague that I am pretty sure I
You did. You
mentioned
talked about it a couple weeks ago.
on a show. That was the movie about the historical film about the French New Wave director Jean-Luc
Hmm.
Godard and the directing of the movie Breathless. Um, Interesting pairing here. Linklater, I think I know that Hollywood movies come out on strange schedules, um, and I think probably more owing to just the weirdness of bureaucracies than anything else. He happened to have two movies come out almost simultaneously. The first was Nouvelle Vague, and the second I finally caught up with. That is a movie called Blue Moon. Um, I think they came out like within a month of each other, and it's interesting because they are both period films about the about show business, let's say. In the case of Nouvelle Vague, the French New Wave filmmakers of the late 1950s, early 1960s. And in the case of Blue Moon, it's set with in the world of theater in New York back in the 40s, I believe, the early 40s. Um, in the movie, Ethan Hawke plays a the one member of a songwriting duo. It was his name is Lorenz Hart, and it's Rogers and Hart.
Oh yeah,
Later,
yeah, yeah.
after Rogers and Hart, there was Rogers and Hammerstein, which were arguably the more, well, obviously the bigger, the more successful duo. But before Richard Rodgers was with Oscar Hammerstein, he was with uh, Lorenz Hart, and they wrote a bunch of plays together, a bunch of hits plays, some incredible songs. Um, and this movie is about, it's very sad. It's like it's about Lorenz Hart, and it takes place on the night that Oklahoma, which is the big new play from Rodgers and Hammerstein, is debuting, and it opens with him at the play. So it opens with the play going on, and Lorenz Hart, the former partner of the guy who's about to have his biggest triumph of his career, is watching the play, and he leaves early, and he goes over to the bar that's right around the corner, Sardi's, the classic, like the absolutely iconic New York nightclub and bar and restaurant, Sardi's. And he proceeds to kind of hold court in an almost empty bar with Bobby Cannavale as the bartender, and there's a kid playing the piano, and it's just it's a perfect period piece. Like you just get it's such a perfect look at like what this time was like, and the way restaurants and bars were. And then in the middle of it, you got Ethan Hawke just turning in an incredible performance, completely disappearing into this character. The guy was famously very short, and I learned in watching some some supplementary materials that they used all practical effects to make him look really short in this thing. So they filmed it on a sound stage. They would build floors at different heights so
Mhm.
that when they were walking along, you'd be looking up at the guy. His chairs were real short, so when he's sitting at the bar, he's a little higher than most people would be. And like there's one great shot where he's going into the restaurant. Just when he grabs the door handle, it's like up at his face height. You know what I mean? Like he's coming up the step, and instead of him reaching down here, it's kind of up there. It's all very subtle stuff that you don't really think about, that doesn't register, but it
Immerses you
all
in it.
it all makes you, the sum of it all. Um, Real quick, Linklater is just one of the best. This guy has worked in so many different genres. He made Slacker and Dazed and Confused. These are movies like about suburbia.
Hmm.
He made the Before trilogy, and he made Boyhood. These are incredible films that were filmed over the course of 20 years in both cases, um, and are all about the passage of time on on human beings. He did Waking Life and Scanner Darkly. These were utilizing the rotoscoping technique, which is like just a totally avant-garde thing. He can also do conventional Hollywood pictures like School of Rock and Hitman, and then these two beautiful movies about the history of show business, film and theater, Nouvelle Vague and Blue Moon. The guy's incredible. He's one of the
Yes.
best out there. Check him out. And that will be all for this week on Beyond the Slipstream. Thanks for joining us, Justin. Always a pleasure. And now I'm going to not talk for the next 24 hours. We salute you.
Ale.
Beyond the Slipstream is a companion to the Team Bus and is produced by Harperama. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, and tell your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Ale!